Imagine if you could say something that instantly made any woman feel an undeniable, almost magnetic connection with you. Sounds too good to be true, right? But here's the thing, words have power. The right words, spoken at the right moment, can ignite curiosity, stir emotions, and create attraction in ways that seem almost effortless. Today I'm revealing 6 hidden phrases that do exactly that. But these aren't just words. They're psychological triggers that help you stand out, avoid the friend zone, and spark irresistible attraction. And trust me, the last phrase is a complete game changer, one that most guys are afraid to use. So stick around until the end, you don't want to miss it. Phrase number 1, I'm not really that easy. This is the ultimate power move. Most men make the mistake of showing they're always available, always eager to please. But when you say, I'm not that easy, it flips the script. It subtly tells her you're a challenge, someone who knows his worth, and that is highly attractive. Here's how to use it. Say it with a confident smirk and a playful tone. If she teases you or playfully challenges you, respond with, I'm not that easy. She'll be intrigued, and when she asks, oh yeah, what do I have to do? Just smile and say, maybe I'll tell you someday. Boom, you've created mystery and left her wanting more. But here's where it gets even better. This phrase isn't just about playing hard to get. It's about setting a frame where she feels the need to earn your attention. And that shift in dynamic? It's magnetic. Most guys immediately validate a woman's interest, afraid to lose the moment. But when you flip it and subtly imply that you're the one who needs to be won over, it reframes the entire interaction. And the beauty of this phrase is that it works in so many situations. If she gives you a compliment instead of just saying thanks, add a twist. Oh, so you think I'm charming? I don't know, I'm not that easy. If she playfully flirts or tests you, drop it with a teasing smirk. I see what you're doing, but sorry, I'm not that easy. It instantly adds intrigue, playfulness, and just the right amount of challenge to keep her engaged. And when you follow it up with a mysterious pause or a half smile, she's left wondering, wait, what does he mean? Why isn't he falling for my charm like other guys? And just like that, she's hooked, chasing your validation instead of the other way around. That's the power of a simple phrase, delivered with the right attitude. Phrase number 2, you have a unique personality. I like that. Most guys give generic compliments like, you're beautiful, or nice outfit. While those are fine, they don't stand out. But when you say, you have a unique way about you, I like that, her mind starts racing. What does he mean? What's so special about me? That curiosity draws her in. The key? Make it genuine. Maybe it's the way she lights up when talking about her passions, or how she confidently expresses herself. Pointing this out makes her feel truly seen. Pro tip: say it with a slight smile and maintain eye contact. It's not just the words, it's the energy behind them that makes the magic happen. Phrase number 3, that's what I like best about you. This takes compliments to the next level. Instead of saying you're fun, make it personal. The way you get excited about your dreams, that's what I like best about you. Why does this work? Because it makes her feel valued for more than just her looks. Timing is everything. Use this phrase when you notice something genuine, whether it's the way she laughs, listens, or expresses herself. When she feels you're really paying attention, it creates a connection she won't forget. Phrase number 4, I'm not sure if you can handle me. This is all about playful confidence. It's a fun way to challenge her while sparking curiosity. When you say, I don't know if you can handle me, it flips the usual dating dynamic. She'll instantly wonder, wait, why wouldn't I be able to handle him? And suddenly she's trying to prove herself to you. How to use it? If she's bragging about something or playfully teasing you, respond with a smirk. That's cute, but I'm not sure if you're ready for me. It keeps the energy fun, flirty, and engaging. Phrase number 5, I prefer women who know what they want. This is a subtle challenge that instantly shifts the power dynamic. Most men try too hard to impress, but when you say this, you're setting a standard instead. Imagine she asks, what kind of women do you like? Instead of giving a generic answer, say, I like women who know what they want. Suddenly she starts wondering, do I fit that description? Am I confident enough for him? And now she's the one seeking your approval. This phrase exudes confidence, maturity, and self-respect, all of which are incredibly attractive. But here's the key. It's not just about what you say, but how you say it. Deliver it calmly and with certainty. No hesitation, no over-explaining. Just a simple, self-assured statement. And if she playfully asks, "Oh, so do I qualify?" Don't rush to answer. Pause, smirk, hold eye contact. Then say something like, maybe. The real question is, do you think you do? Now, she's not just curious, she's invested. She's actively working to prove herself to you, flipping the script on the usual dynamic where men are the ones seeking approval. And here's the best part. This phrase naturally weeds out indecisive or insecure energy. Women who truly know their worth will respond with confidence, while those who don't might stumble. Either way, you've positioned yourself as the prize. Someone who doesn't just take what's given but chooses carefully. So the next time you're in a conversation, drop this line effortlessly and watch how the energy shifts in your favor. Phrase number 6. I don't believe you're prepared for me yet. Now, this is the real game changer. This phrase triggers two powerful psychological effects. The fear of missing out, the allure of exclusivity. When you say, "I don't think you're ready for me yet," she'll instantly wonder, "Wait, what does he mean? Why wouldn't I be ready?" How to use it. Keep it lighthearted and playful. For example, if she's bragging about her skills or confidence, tease her, "That's cute, but I don't think you're ready for me yet." She'll be intrigued and want to prove you wrong, making the interaction even more fun and engaging. These 6 phrases aren't just words. They're psychological tools designed to create attraction, build curiosity, and make you stand out from every other guy. But here's the secret. It's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it. Use them naturally, with confidence and a playful tone, and watch how the entire dynamic shifts in your favor. You see, at the end of the day, attraction isn't about looks, money, or cheesy pickup lines. It's about how you make someone feel. And these phrases, they aren't just tricks. They're a way to show confidence, create connections, and stand out in a world where most guys just blend in. But here's the thing. Most men will watch this video, think that was cool, and move on. But the ones who actually take action, they're the ones who change the game. They're the ones who stop chasing and start attracting. So the question is, are you just watching, or are you ready to level up? Have you ever noticed how silence can sometimes speak louder than words? Believe it or not, when a woman goes quiet, it isn't just emptiness, it's a message. Picture this. You send her a text. She reads it, or maybe doesn't even open it. Hours stretch into days, and suddenly your thoughts start racing. Did I say the wrong thing? Did I come across too strong? Or has she simply lost interest? That mental loop doesn't fade, it gnaws at you. Every time you glance at your phone, it whispers doubt. And let's be real, that uncertainty hurts more than rejection itself. But here's the twist most men miss. What if her silence carries more truth than her words ever could? What if, by not calling, by not texting, she's actually revealing something, not only about her, but about you? What if silence isn't the problem, but the hidden answer you've been overlooking all along? In this video, we're not handing out the same recycled dating advice or play it cool and just wait it out. Forget that. We're going deeper. We'll explore what her silence truly means, not just on the surface, but psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. We'll examine it through the lens of Stoic philosophy, modern psychology, and real-world behavior. And more importantly, we'll uncover how you should respond instead of react. By the end, you won't just ease the confusion, you'll reclaim control. Because when you finally understand the truth about silence, you stop chasing noise and start commanding presence. Let's begin. 1. Her silence often tests your emotional strength. One of the most overlooked truths in modern dating is that her silence might not be rejection. It might be a test, and not in a manipulative or cruel way, but in a deeply instinctive one. Women, whether they realize it or not, often test for emotional strength, not with words, but with behavior. Pulling back, going quiet, slowing communication. These are subtle ways of asking, "Can you handle this?" It's a comfort test, and it's less about what she feels in the moment and more about who you are under pressure. She's watching to see if you will lose your center. Will you become needy, reactive, or unstable the moment attention is withdrawn? And when you do, she learns something not just about the dynamic, but about you. This doesn't mean women are playing games. It means they're wired to seek emotional security, and they often gauge that by how you respond to uncertainty. In evolutionary psychology, tests like these aren't about cruelty, they're about survival. Women are wired to seek protectors, and strength doesn't always mean muscles or money. It often means composure. If her silence sends you into an emotional spiral, it signals instability. But if you remain grounded, calm, self-assured, you communicate exactly what she's looking for: safety. Not just safety for her, but safety in your own skin. The Stoic man doesn't panic when he's not being validated because he validates himself. And that quiet confidence, it's louder than any text you could send. 2. The silence isn't always negative. Here's the thing most guys get wrong right out of the gate. They assume silence means rejection. If she's not texting back, it must mean she's done right? Not always. In fact, a lot of the time her silence has nothing to do with you, and everything to do with what she's going through. She might be overwhelmed, emotionally drained, processing her own thoughts, or simply taking space in a way that feels normal to her. Women, generally speaking, tend to communicate in waves, not in fixed, predictable intervals. It's not uncommon for them to go quiet when they're dealing with stress, when they're unsure about how they feel, or even when they like someone and are scared of coming on too strong. We live in a culture that pushes instant replies, instant validation, but relationships, especially in their early stages, don't always follow that rhythm. There's also a psychological layer here. Studies in gendered communication, like the work of linguist Deborah Tannen, highlight how men often view communication as transactional, while women view it as relational. So when a woman pulls back or doesn't respond, it might be because she doesn't have the emotional energy to engage at that moment, not because she's ghosting or losing interest. But most men interpret that gap as rejection because we're wired to associate lack of response with failure. That misinterpretation triggers anxiety and fear, which then leads us to act in ways that sabotage attraction, over-texting, chasing, trying to fix something that was never broken in the first place. So before you jump to conclusions, slow down. Her silence doesn't always mean something's wrong. Sometimes it just means she's human, and sometimes the best move isn't to decode her, it's to understand your own instinct to panic when things aren't immediately clear. 3. If you chase her silence, you lose. Here's the brutal irony. The moment you start chasing her silence, you almost guarantee it will continue. The more you reach out, the more you double text, the more you over-apologize or send those just checking in messages, the more you push her away. Why? Because now the energy has shifted. You've gone from being a man who commands respect to a man who seeks reassurance, and nothing kills attraction faster than desperation. Psychologically, this is rooted in a principle called reactance. When people feel their autonomy is being threatened even subtly, they push back. So if she's already creating space and you rush to close that gap, you don't pull her closer. You suffocate her. And what's worse, by chasing, you put her in a position of emotional authority. You're now waiting for her response like it's a reward, and that imbalance slowly drains the respect and the polarity from the dynamic. She might not even realize it consciously, but she'll feel it. Your energy becomes anxious instead of attractive. It's the difference between a man who says, "I'll be here if you're ready," and a man who says, "Please notice me." One is powerful, the other is forgettable. So if you're tempted to close the gap too quickly, don't. Let her feel your absence, not to punish her, but to give her space to wonder, to miss, to choose, and in that space, you reclaim your value, not by saying anything, but by saying nothing when it matters most. 4. What you should do instead. So, what should you do instead when she goes quiet? You focus on the only thing you ever truly controlled: yourself. Not in a passive, "I'll just wait it out" way, but in an active, intentional way that shifts your energy back into your own life. This is where most men go wrong. They sit around, obsessed watching the little green dot on Instagram, overanalyze when she was last online. But that energy, that mental loop, it's not just unattractive, it's draining. You need to flip that script. Instead of asking, "Why isn't she texting me?" ask, "Where have I been neglecting myself?" Because 9 times out of 10, that silence is pointing you back to your own unfinished business, your goals, your mission, your growth. And this isn't just a vague self-help mantra. It's a hard truth. When you shift your attention inward, you stop being a man waiting for something to happen, and you start being a man who makes things happen. Go journal what you're feeling, not to vent, but to clarify. Go lift weights. Not to distract yourself, but to channel your energy. Build something, learn something, expand your world beyond her. The truth is, the fuller your life becomes, the less a delayed text can shake you. Because now you're not sitting in emotional limbo. You're in motion, and motion breeds confidence. Women are naturally drawn to that, not to a man who waits, but to a man who moves forward with or without them. That's not a tactic, that's a lifestyle. One she'll notice without you saying a single word. 5. The Stoic response to uncertainty. When she doesn't text back, most guys react. They spiral, they overthink. They check their phones 100 times a day, replaying conversations in their heads, trying to figure out what went wrong. But this is exactly where the Stoic mindset separates the boys from the men. Stoicism teaches us one powerful principle. You can't control what she does, but you can control how you respond. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In that silence, you have a choice. You can let your emotions lead, let anxiety dictate your next move, or you can pause, breathe, and choose stillness. That doesn't mean indifference, it means presence. It means not letting someone else's silence disturb your inner peace. Most of us were never taught how to sit with uncertainty. We were taught to fix, to pursue, to solve, but not to just be. The Stoic doesn't chase answers that aren't being offered. He recognizes that her silence isn't a problem to be solved, it's just an event, neutral in nature until he assigns it meaning. And instead of assigning it meaning like, "she's done with me," or "I must not be good enough," the Stoic reframes it, "This is an opportunity to return to myself." That might sound poetic, but it's actually practical. Because in that space, in that pause, you build strength, mental clarity, and emotional discipline. You stop being a man who needs a response to feel worthy, and start becoming a man who is centered, regardless of what or who comes and goes. That's not just attraction, that's power. 6. If she returns, you're still in control. Let's say the silence breaks. She texts you. Maybe it's a casual, "Hey, how have you been?" or something colder like a meme or a random comment acting like nothing happened. Most guys either explode with relief or resentment. They jump right back in, acting like they'd been waiting by the phone, or worse, they throw guilt at her, hoping to teach her a lesson. But here's the truth. If you've spent that silent period working on yourself, growing, recalibrating, then you don't need her message. You choose how to respond. And that's where real power lies. You're not punishing her. You're not rewarding inconsistency either. You're simply maintaining the self-respect you built in her absence. That means you respond calmly, maturely, with boundaries. You don't ignore her unless you've decided she no longer belongs in your path. But you also don't hand over your emotional state just because she reappeared. A simple message like, "Hey, good to hear from you. I've been keeping busy with some new things." That's more than enough. It shows you've moved forward. It puts the ball in her court and, most importantly, it communicates something deeper. You don't need her to feel okay anymore. That's attractive. That's rare. Because most people, men or women, expect their absence to be felt as pain, but when you respond with peace, that's when they start to wonder what they lost. The next time she doesn't call or doesn't text, don't let your thoughts spiral into panic or self-doubt. Instead, see it as a moment of truth, not about her, but about you. Because silence doesn't mean she's in control, it means you've been handed the space to rediscover where your true strength really lies. And that strength, it isn't in the words you say, it isn't in how fast you respond. It's in how steady you remain when validation isn't immediately given. It's in your ability to keep moving forward, to stay committed to your mission, and to remain grounded, even when uncertainty is standing right in front of you. That's the heart of Stoicism. It's not about shutting down your emotions. It's about mastering them, using silence as a mirror and asking yourself, am I the man who waits for validation to feel worthy, or the man who already knows he is? The real test isn't whether she comes back, it's whether you stay true to yourself in her absence. Let her wonder, let her feel your absence, not because you're playing games, but because you've grown past the need to chase scraps of attention. You're not angry, you're not resentful, you're grounded. And the more you live from that calm, intentional place, the more the right people and the right opportunities naturally find their way to you. Not because you pleaded for them, but because you became the type of man who draws them in effortlessly. Now I'll warn you, A few of these tips may sound weird or even counterintuitive, but there's very specific psychology behind every technique I'm going to share today, as I'll explain in a minute. When a guy has feelings for a girl, he's actually more likely to say the wrong things than he is to say things that will cause her to become more attracted to him and fall in love. For instance, a lot of times when a guy has feelings for a girl, he has this urge to compliment her a lot. Now, I get it, right? I've been there. I know that feeling. But when it comes to complimenting a woman, two things are critically important. First, you've got to make her feel like she's earned the compliment. Let me explain what I mean by that. This means, instead of blurting out compliments all at once or every time you see her, which not only loses effectiveness, but actually starts to annoy a girl, it should appear to her that you're slowly falling for her. That you're gradually discovering the things you like about her, like she's winning you over day by day. Now the second part, compliments work best when you compliment something unique to her personality, not something general, like her looks, her eyes, whatever. If a woman has really nice eyes, how many guys do you think have already told her that? Do you want to be lumped in with those guys, or do you want to go deeper, where she feels you're seeing her admiring the real her in ways other guys miss? Here's something really powerful. I teach something called the golden mirror. There are a few ways to do it, but here's one you can start with. Make a compliment directly related to a woman's dream. So let's say she wants to be a psychiatrist. You could say to her, "You're really easy to talk to. I could totally see you being the kind of person that people just want to share things with." You might even add, "I almost feel like I've already told you things I never tell anyone." Now, a good thing to do is end it by saying something like, "Too bad you're such a dork." That breaks the tension, brings things back to a playful level, and keeps it from getting too serious. And I'll explain why that's important in a minute. In addition to validating something important to her, it does something else for you. It communicates that you are the selector, and not the selected. What do I mean by that? Well, most guys will settle for anything they can get. But when you let a woman know you're actually sizing her up, she'll be the one trying to impress you. She'll become addicted to impressing you. And the more she finds herself doing that, the more invested she becomes, and the more likely she is to fall for you. Next, women are what I call meaning makers. A girl is always looking for the deeper meaning behind what you're doing or saying. So, for example, if you show up on a date with her holding a bouquet of roses and you've got reservations at a fancy restaurant, the meaning she might make is, "Wow, he's super serious about me already. Maybe he's not used to dating someone like me," which is why you have to be careful. You need to be conscious of the meaning she's making from your actions or words without you even realizing it. But it's also important to understand this. For women, the harder a meaning is to decipher, the more invested she becomes in figuring you out. I always tell my clients, if a woman figures you out too soon, it's over. Women don't want a sure thing or a predictable guy. They want a mental challenge. And that's why anything you do that's ambiguous, anything she can't quite understand, leads her to be more interested in you, because she spends more and more time thinking about you. So if you can do things that send mixed signals, like telling her you like her and then sort of pushing her away, this keeps her mind working to figure out what's going on. And that mental challenge is extremely addicting for her. There's also a hand-holding technique I teach that can give her mixed signals, making her curious, excited, and turned on, all at once. I'll explain that technique in a minute. But first, let me say this. Like anything else, if these techniques are used too much, they lose their effect. They must be used sparingly and only at the right moments. It took a lot of trial and error, but I discovered a very specific order that makes these techniques even more effective. I'll tell you about that in a second, but first, here's another tip. Use her name several times during the conversation, making eye contact as you talk to her. Even though it seems innocent, it actually creates a sense of intimacy. If you've ever had a woman use your name and hold eye contact, you know that electric spark it creates. It builds up tension because it taps into her meaning-making instinct, causing her to wonder, what's going on here? Is something happening between us? The next technique is something called future projecting, and there are lots of ways to do this, but here's a fun one. After you take a picture with a girl, jokingly say, "Damn, we'd make some good-looking babies," and then move on to another topic. What you've done here is anchor a future with her in her mind. And as a bonus, you've made her imagine sleeping with you. Now here's a tip about what not to say. Stop telling her what you think she wants to hear. Many guys talk women out of feeling attraction, even talk them out of falling in love, by telling her exactly how they feel too soon. Telling her is bad because it takes the magic, suspense, mystery, tension, and that mental challenge out of the situation. It pops the balloon. It kills the chemistry. When you say to a woman, "I like you," early on, in her head she's thinking, "He's admitting he likes me, so I have all the power." And for some reason that makes her not like him as much anymore. Every woman's biggest fantasy is the day she finally tells a guy her feelings about him. If you tell her first, you rob her of that moment. Remember this: we love to buy, but we hate to be sold. Everything needs to be under the radar so it feels like her decision to chase you. Because if she senses that you're trying to convince her to like you or manipulate her to like you, she'll subconsciously put the brakes on, pull back, and a lot of times she won't even know why she's rejecting you, but she'll just have a bad feeling about things. You cannot convince a woman to like you, and if you try, you'll sound weak, you'll sound needy, and you will sound very desperate. Your job is to help her come to that conclusion on her own. And you do that through a mix of giving her the feeling that she's winning you over and being the mental challenge that she creates. There's an inherent biological difference in the way that men and female brains are wired. And instead of letting it confuse you, which it does to 99% of the guys out there, learn to use it to your advantage so they'll become interested and fall in love with you. See, as I mentioned earlier, these techniques are powerful on their own. But when you use them in a specific order, she can't help but fall for you. Even if you're not her type, even if she's already rejected you, or even if she sees you as a friend. So I have a longer video where I map out the exact technique and specific steps to get her chasing you. It's vitally important to know how to go from one step to the next in a way that always leaves her wanting more. That's what I explain in the next video. How to move things forward in an under-the-radar way that makes her feel like she's winning you over. I also explain how, even if you've already messed up, you can turn things around. You can erase those mistakes and get a second chance. If you really want to become a high-value man and attract everyone around you, then watch a video where I explain everything about female nature, weaknesses of women, what women want from men, what are their favorite things or positions. You know what I mean here. Check the description for the video. Thank you for listening to me. I'll see you in the next video.